Hello, folks. I hope you're doing well today. Today, I want to talk about three subjects in which Satan will tempt us in the middle of patience. The first one is that he'll say that we need to know the full story before we can commit ourselves to God. Imagine if somebody came up to you and they said they're reading this book and it's a fantastic book, but you'll have to start at the very last chapter to see if you would enjoy the whole book. You would look at them crazy. That's the same thing that Satan does with us. He wants us to believe that we need to know the full picture before committing ourselves to God. And the disciples asked Jesus in a very similar way. They asked when Israel is going to be restored. Essentially, when is God coming back? And Jesus told them, it is not for you to know these things. Only God the Father knows them. And then Jesus told them to be patient. And then he told them to wait for the Holy Spirit, which they did. And in many cases, God tells us to be patient in the middle of pursuit, and that we don't need to know the full story to trust and to serve. The second point is that Satan will cause us to drift away in the middle of patience rather than a sharp turn. For example, imagine if you were in a plane, and this is a very common story, but I'll say it nonetheless. Imagine if you were a plane and the plane went 1 to 2 degrees off. By the time you got to your destination, you could be hundreds of miles away, if not in another country. The point is, Satan would want to slowly lead you away from God. We know that in Colossians 3, we're supposed to keep our mindset on things above. We know that in Hebrews 2, we are warned against drifting, and we know that Jesus is the rock to which we sustain our spiritual lives. He told us to build our lives upon him. The third point is that Satan will switch peace in God for panic. Many of us know the proverb in Proverbs 3, it talks about for us to trust in God and that he will guide our paths. But many of us found ourselves in a phrase very similar to this, where you were content with God at one point, you felt provided for, and then some pressure hit, you're behind, you'll never catch up, you need more right now. Peace was replaced by panic, and even though God was faithful the whole time, you still leaned in to the stress of the world. That is a temptation that Satan will say. He'll tell you that you're behind in so many different ways. He'll give you anything underneath the sun. What I would want to remind, or in closing thoughts to say, instead of asking God for the next step this week, ask him for strength to wait well, to set your mind on things above, to guard against the drift, and don't let pressure make your decisions for you. And with that, I hope this was in some way helpful. All right, y'all take care.